make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door. It's the Richard Wilmore Show.
Oh yeah, no, it's like a year ago I would never have expected to be talking to you or to even be in this position.
So what, I mean, you have been working. It's not like this is your first role. You are on the series Broken. It's a web series, which is awesome. It's a great show. It's well written. It's a super important subject. I think it's awesome. How did you get involved with that?
So I actually am the executive producer, and I initially approached two of my friends back in May of 2017, and I wanted to create my own content. And so I asked my two friends if they wanted to be involved, and they said yeah. And then they brought in a fourth person who ends up being my director and co-executive producer. Her name is Kylie Molesnik. And then after the four of us got together, we talked about what we wanted to do, and we wanted to create meaningful content, and that was topical in the world now. And when we settled on mental illness and mental health, we all had a passion for it, and all of us have some form of experience with mental illness within our own lives or our family, friends. So it's really important that it's something that we talk about, because not a lot of people do. And
Right.
So once we did that, we just took off.
How long did it take you to shoot? Now you have, how many episodes are online? Sorry, I have cats everywhere.
6.
I'm like a crazy cat lady.
That's okay.
You have 6 episodes. How long did that take to film? Because they're relatively short. They're not like, but it's still, it's a ton of work.
So we were in pre-production from the time of conception in May of 2017 all the way through early January of 2018, and then we shot for 9 days in January, and we finished February 1st.
Wow.
And actually, we only shot for 8 days because we had 1 day off in between. But every day, we shot it like a feature, so we didn't go episode by episode. We were location. So we shot about 10 to 12 pages a day, which is very aggressive. And the day after we wrapped on February 2nd, it was already in post. So we are already shipped it off to the post house. And then I gave myself 2 weeks after that to just kick back, relax, not do anything, not think about it. And then after that is when I started to go into the editing sessions, the coloring sessions, the sound sessions, the music sessions, audio sessions, because I wanted to learn everything. So it was in post from literally the day after we finished shooting, all the way until minutes before we dropped it online. And we dropped it online Friday, April 13th, and we were still editing parts of it, like right before we pushed that button.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you are now nominated for a Primetime Emmy because of this. I mean,
yeah.
What is that like? Is that even like I see, I follow you on social media, we're friends on Facebook, like I see all the parties you're at now, what has that been like?
It's still surreal to me. I just went to my first Emmy party, or hosted Television Academy party that was honoring the performer nominees, and that made it really, really cool. I mean, it's been cool the whole time, but like that's the one where people who didn't quite understand what I did, because not a lot of people quite understand the short form category yet. It's only been around for 3 years. But at this reception, I was on stage with the other performer nominees who were there, and that was like Lily Tomlin and Henry Winkler and Bryan Cranston, Regina King, Louis Anderson, like huge names who like I grew up watching. And then also they took a group photo, which was amazing. And, there I am just, between Darren Criss and Finn Whitrock, just chilling.
Yeah, as you do, as a normal Tuesday night.
It's so weird and crazy. And then so you go from doing that to then all of a sudden going and doing these other events where people don't quite know who you are. But it's such a difference between the two. But it's been really, really fun, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, take it all in, right? Like, how do you not? You have to stand there and be like, holy shitballs, I'm standing next to Lily Tomlin. Like, how do you know? Like,
she kissed me on the cheek. She kissed me on the cheek, and it was what?
No, I would have that tattooed already. I would have that you are like me from the Midwest. You're from Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
What was that like? Like, when did you leave Minnesota? Because you went to college in Minnesota, right?
I grew up in Minnesota, and then I came out to LA the summer before senior year of high school. I took an acting class, and then while I was here, I found representation. So I found an agent and a manager, and they're like, you just got to get here. You got to get here. You can start working. And so I was like, okay. So I went back to Minnesota. I graduated a semester early from high school, and then I moved. I moved right away. So I was still 17 when I moved. So I turned 18 in Los Angeles, but then I did enroll in college while I was in LA, but I enrolled in Glendale Community College. It was a lot easier to drop community college classes than it was to drop a four-year school. It cost a lot of money, big difference. And then so I did 2 years at Glendale, and then I actually did transfer, and I finished up at Cal State Northridge. So I did go to school. I got a communication studies major and an economics minor.
What do you think? What do you think growing up where you grew up kind of helped get you to where you are now? Because I feel like Midwestern people have such a different mentality of the world.
I completely agree. Growing up in Minnesota, I mean, it shaped me into who I am now, and I haven't changed. I mean, I think that I'm nice, and I think I'm too nice in LA. I think there's a lot of people who use that to their advantage. Although I've been here for 8 years, so yes, I'm inherently nice, but I also realize when people are trying to use me or take advantage of me. And I always talk about Minnesota saying it's a great place to grow up. The environment was amazing. It was so nurturing as a child and even as a teenager. But then with my profession, it's just not a great place for me to live. I'll go visit, of course, but I have no family left in Minnesota. They all moved. So my parents finally moved when like 3 years ago. And so we were transplants, and I'm the youngest of three. And when I was born there, and then that rooted us, and we stayed. My parents stayed for over 20 years. But then, they finally moved. So the only reason I had to go back to Minnesota is to visit my friends. So they got to invite me.
Yeah. Come on, people.
Come
on. Just go during the summer. Don't go in the winter, obviously. Have them come to you.
Yeah.
I have Minnesota friends actually coming here in October to San Antonio. And I was like, bring swimsuits, like we're going to be at the pool. Yeah. And they're like, in October, the end of October? I was like, yeah. Like, it's a whole different world here, kids. Get ready. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. I would not change it. Like, Wisconsin is a place to visit and a place to leave.
Yes.
That's what I think, yeah. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Can you talk about Liam, your character on Broken?
Sure. So I play Liam, and he suffers from paranoid schizophrenia. And Liam, I don't want to say he's a tragic character, but his medication gets switched unbeknownst to him, and so that sets off a series of events where he may not be a reliable narrator in a way, because the story is shown through Liam's perspective and Liam's eyes, but it's meant to be disorienting. It's meant to be confusing because it's an accurate portrayal of what someone who's experiencing schizophrenia is going through. And in order to accomplish that, one of my biggest fears as an actor is not accurately portraying something. So I did a lot of research on schizophrenia, and I listened to a lot of auditory schizophrenic hallucination simulations, and then I also watched a lot of visual schizophrenic hallucinations on YouTube. And so it was the combination of those two things that got me into the mindset of playing a character who has schizophrenia. And it was really the auditory ones, hallucination simulations, that helped me the most, because they, at the beginning of the video, say, put your headphones in, listen to this thing, and then just go about your daily business. Don't sit down and just listen, do something. And so I did. And I was just walking around my apartment. I was doing laundry, cleaning, cooking. And then these voices would just be like coming at me from all sides. And it was discomforting, and it was creepy. And so that really got me into the mindset of Liam, because 90% of what you see in Broken takes place within his head or is a distortion of reality.
Wow. How long did you study that? I mean, it's obviously not something that you just pick up in a day. You pick up your headphones and you're like, I got it. Like that's intense.
It was, but like I said, we were in pre-production since May of last year. So, I mean, every few days I would pick up my headphones, listen to something. I would watch videos. I watched videos with people who had schizophrenia. Some people did TED Talks. And then, so there's some bloggers too who have schizophrenia who just talk about their experience and how they're not monsters and they're normal people. And so I would watch those periodically. So for a while, my search history in YouTube was just all like schizophrenia, like paranoid delusions, hallucinations, simulation, like all that. So if someone didn't know that I was doing this for a role, they'd be like, "What the hell?"
Let's check on you
okay?
more often.
Yeah.
I mean, and it shows. Your dedication to it shows. The realism in this show, the acting, it's so good. You should be well. I'm sure you are super proud of it, and it's shown.
Thank you.
Because it's nominated for awards. So there you go.
It was actually nominated for 2 Primetime Emmys. So this new category of short form, outstanding short form comedy or drama series. There's 3 categories. So there's the series. Then there's outstanding actor and actress in a short form comedy or drama series. So we received nominations in both the actor and actress category because Lee Garlington, who plays our therapist, the therapist, she also got nominated.
Yeah, I love her.
She's amazing.
If she wanted to sit next to you, that's fine by me. I would talk to her too.
I will pass off her information to you, and then you can reach out to her PR person. I'm sure she would love to talk to you.
I would love to talk to her. Thank you. What do you think of how like TV film is going now with digital? You can have great content and be seen and heard outside of the 4 channels.
Yeah, it's good and it's also bad because it's great that there's so many more opportunities and there's so many more avenues and mediums. But then it's also bad because there's so many avenues and mediums and shows. And so some things do get lost in the shuffle because there's just so much. And one person does not have time to watch everything. But for someone like me, it's a perfect opportunity to create your own content because I wasn't having the opportunities of any named celebrity or someone who's internet famous or someone who's just a known name for whatever reason, because those people attract viewers. Whereas I would get passed over for those roles or even opportunities I wouldn't even considered. So I'm a huge proponent of creating your own content because there are so many internet-based distribution sites that I'm still learning about. Every day someone's like, "Oh, do you know this medium? Do you know this channel?" And I've never heard of it, but they're specific. There's like horror ones. There's ones like specific to horror. There's ones that are specific to comedy, or there are ones that are like specific to race or gender identity. So there's a lot of different little subcategories. So I like it. And I do think that the direction that film and television is heading in general is the concept of binge watching, because I think a lot of people, myself included, sit down and if I like something, I just want to keep going and I want to go at my own pace. I don't really want to wait week after week. Yeah. Although there are some exceptions, and those would be like the major shows like Game of Thrones, Handmaid's Tale, The Walking Dead. Like my family watches those, and that's kind of like how we bond, is like we talk on the phone, like, "Oh, did you see this episode?" Like, "Oh, what's going to happen next?" Whereas with the binge culture, unless you're with someone in the room watching it together, it's a little harder to talk about it unless you've seen it all. Yeah. And then you can both talk about it. But it's a weird time, and I think that we as in television is still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch other people kind of navigate through that and try to figure out your own little niche of where you're supposed to be. So that's kind of what it is right now. What are you watching right now? What are your favorites?
So, like I said, Handmaid's Tale. I just finished that. I also watched Barry on HBO, if you haven't seen that. It's with Bill Hader and Henry Winkler.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah. So good. And then Black Mirror has always been a favorite of mine, and so I was watching that, and then that got me into Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams, which is on Amazon Prime. And so I guess that actually inspired Black Mirror, but Black Mirror was made first. So it's like sci-fi, modern day Twilight Zone. I love that stuff. And then also The Marvelous Miss Maisel. I just finished that. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's on Amazon Prime too.
And I'm sure you'll probably meet some of those people in a couple weeks, huh?
I already met Henry Winkler, and I will meet
Milwaukee.
everyone else.
Come on, from Milwaukee.
He's from Milwaukee?
I think so, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a Fonz statue downtown Milwaukee. I think he's from there. Yeah.
Of course there is.
Why wouldn't there be? And I'm sure we threw a party for it too.
Yeah.
I'm sure. That's awesome. So they're on the 17th are the Primetime Emmys.
Yes.
Do you know who you're taking with you? I'm assuming you're going, right?
I am going, although there are 3 ceremonies for the Emmys, and there have always been because there's so many Emmy awards. So the one on the 17th is the televised one, and that's the one where all the lead actors and actresses, the supporting actors and actresses, and then Best Show awards are given out because that draws in ratings for the network. The other 2 ceremonies are the weekend before, and so my ceremony is actually on September 8th, and it's the Creative Arts ceremony. So there's 2 nights of Creative Arts ceremonies, and that's where they give out the short form category. They do like editing and hair and makeup and costume and casting directors and editing and the reality television. So every other Emmy is on the first 2 nights. So a lot of people don't realize that. But yes, I'm bringing my parents. So my parents are flying out. I got them tickets, so I'm bringing them. And then my other producers and my director, they're all going too.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that I'm sure we'll be celebrating on the 8th your win is what I'm guessing because
hopefully.
I mean, come on. We have to. We have to. Broken the series, brokentheseries.com. Good luck and congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep us posted.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Richard. It's very nice talking to you.
First of all, I am super honored to even be talking to you. You have been in like every show I've watched my entire childhood. So I'm super excited. What's that?
Mine too.
Yeah. I was talking to Miles yesterday, and I was looking at your new show, and your face popped up, and I was like, oh my god, it's Rose's daughter.
That's so fun.
And that's and then I was doing research on you, and I was like, holy crap, you really have been in everything I've ever watched. How do you think TV and entertainment and filmmaking it's changing so rapidly, so much recently? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you are now an Emmy nominee for a show that's on a website.
Well, I think, personally, I think this is a renaissance in television like we've never had before. As my friend Gina Hecht, a wonderful actress, we recently had this conversation of how come when there were, 3 networks and a few movies, we worked all the time, and now there are 800 networks, 7,000 shows, and we're not on any of them. So it's, I think it's TV is absolutely in its heyday. I don't think it's ever been better. I think it's the cutting edge right now. It's not films. It's Handmaid's Tale and Succession and Ozark and all the shows that are happening in, on Amazon and Netflix and Hulu and HBO and Showtime. And the people are going to the small screen before they're going to the big screen now because that's where it's at.
Yeah. I want to talk about Broken, the amazing show you're in. How did you get involved with that?
It was an offer. I didn't even audition for it, and I almost didn't do it because there's a women's retreat I go to every year, and it happened to be that weekend, and I sort of hemmed and hawed, and then I decided to go do it because I really love the character, and I love doing independent films and working with, first-time directors and producers, and I like being a part of that zeitgeist.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about your character in the show, Darlene, and about the show in general?
Well, I think it's a show, I have some schizophrenia in my family, So I know a little bit about it. So I think what happens is if it's not treated, it's a very, very challenging disease, dis-ease, condition, however you want to word it, to properly medicate and keep properly medicated, because the body changes and the medicine that worked last year doesn't work this year. And kind of in the story, what unfolds is his friend, under the guise of, helping him, takes away the medication he so desperately needs. And I think the people who have this disease are completely powerless. I don't even think they know, which is kind of what Darlene is trying to say to him. You couldn't have stopped it because you don't even know what's happening when it's happening. You, the essence of you, is not there. The disease is taken over. It's like when you're talking to a drunk and you're no longer talking to the person, you're talking to the alcohol. Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I think schizophrenia is.
You've been acting since the 80s.
Right.
What got you into acting?
Well, I reached the top of my career. I was a sound and radio engineer at NPR, and I was 26, and I kind of reached as far as you can go in that world. And I said, I have this dream, and if I don't do it, I never will, because I could easily have settled in and stayed at NPR. In fact, I listened to NPR every day, and there are still people there that were there when I left in 1980. So, and I just said, it's a dream deferred. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to give it a shot. So I moved to Hollywood. I packed my bags and I moved to Beverly.
How long were you there until you got your first role?
I think it was either 2 or 3 years. I got very, very lucky. I got plucked out of an equity waiver play by a casting director named Jackie Birch, who stayed afterwards and said, I like your work, who represents you? And I went, nobody. And she set me up with 5 agents, and she brought me in to audition for my first role. And I think she negotiated my deal, and I did 4 days playing Myrna, the mean waitress, in Psycho 2, and it was like being high for 4 days. Yeah. It was the most fun I ever had in my life, just being on a movie set, having that be my very first role on television and film. And I was doing, and I continued to do, just a ton of theater. Mm-hmm. But that was the first professional acting job where I got paid real money. $1,600 for 4 days, wow. Which doubled the old salary at that point.
Isn't it?
$80 pair of purple boots that I still have.
Isn't it crazy how you remember the little things like that? Like
you do. You totally.
It never leaves you. And now you have an Emmy nomination for Broken. Outstanding actress in a short form comedy or drama. What does that feel like?
Strange. Mm-hmm. It's that thing you dream that you always want. I mean, I think if I were Miles' age and it were happening, I'd be exactly like he is, just thrilled to death and, on just having the time of his life. For me, at this age, having, sort of like, I'm supposed to do what? I'm supposed to go where? I got to buy social media? What? I do.
Skype interview? What?
Yeah. So it's been a very, it's not in my wheelhouse, any of this. Mm-hmm. I'm not really comfortable doing it, but that doesn't mean getting out of your comfort zone is sometimes where life begins, and you got to really stretch. I feel. Go ahead.
Are you going to go to the awards?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you going to wear your purple shoes?
I am not.
I feel like you should.
No, I'm not. Thank you, but I got my outfit all picked out, awesome. Ready to go.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
You're also filming right now, Christmas Harmony. Are you done filming that, or is that?
Yeah, that's done.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, it's another little first time. Well, no, she's directed other things. I think it's her first feature. A wonderful director, and I'm desperately vamping here right now while I try to think of her last name, and I can't. Her first name is Nanea, and she's Hawaiian, and she is wonderful. And it was this marvelous crew of people. Again, kind of the same thing. I did an audition, I got an offer, and I got to work with Sally Struthers, and I'm going to blank on everybody else's name right now because it's been over a couple months, but it was the beautiful young woman from the Pitch Perfect movies, blonde hair. Just a lovely woman. Couldn't have been more fun. We were shooting in a very small town in Colorado, and it was just absolutely magical.
Do you know when that's coming out?
I do not, but I bet they're aiming for Christmas this year.
I had a feeling that's probably when it's going to happen. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on all of the all the shows coming back? I mean, you've been on a lot of the shows that are sort of getting reprised. You've been on Will and Grace. You've been on Roseanne. You've been Murphy Brown's coming back. Like, what are your thoughts on all of those classic TV shows coming back?
Well, I'm always happy when people are working. It's just nice to go, okay, more jobs, more people. I didn't think the reboot of Will and Grace, to me, for my money, wasn't quite as wonderful as the original. I think there are so many new fabulous ideas and shows that are on the air right now. I don't know that we need to bring everything back, but if that's what people want, then fantastic. Yeah. People are employed. That's the name of the game. Yeah. Get a job, work. So I'm thrilled.
Yeah. What are you watching right now?
Well, we just finished watching Succession, which was amazing, the one with Brian Cox. I've actually just started The Americans because I never saw it, so we're sort of in between. All of our shows start coming back. We finished Handmaid's Tale. I watch a lot of English series. We watched like a 4-episode one called Collusion with Carey Mulligan and a whole bunch of other people that I know whose names I can't think of. We watch everything. TV is kind of, that's how we end every night, is we sit in our living room and we watch an hour of some show, and I just absolutely adore it.
Can we play, I want to play a fun little, not really a game with you, but since you've been on so many shows that I love, can I shout out some to you, and can you give me a little nugget from your time on set?
Okay.
I want to go with, I first want to start off with 1 Hour Photo, which is one of my favorite films with Robin Williams. Yep. I love that movie.
I hear that name, I want to cry.
Yeah.
I worked with Robin twice, once on 1 Hour Photo, and then again, The Angriest Man in Brooklyn, just one day each. I thought he was, at his essence, one of the kindest men I've ever met in my life. I mean, we all know how freaking funny he is and how fast his brain works, but I think there was this kindness and love and great intelligence and humor.
The Golden Girls.
Fun, because I was shooting a series called Lenny at the time, where I played Lenny Clark's wife. It was a Whit Thomas. We were all in a little little studio, which was all Whit Thomas Harris. So it was Empty Nest, Golden Girls, Lenny, and I think there was one other show, and we all hung out together. Fun. Betty White is the coolest woman I've ever met in my life. Just hung around. Well, all of us hung around together, and it was just lovely.
Fun.
Yeah.
6 Feet Under.
I did 2 of those. Robert Pine, who I adore, played my boyfriend, husband, whatever he was. Working with Patricia Clarkson, she's a really consummate actress. I would put her in a category with like Laurie Metcalf. Like, I've worked with Laurie twice. The people that or Allison Janney, or Viola Davis, where you just go, okay, up your game, girl, because you are in the presence of, a powerful force of creativity.
Yeah, totally. There's so many shows that I want to talk. I wish we had 9 days to talk to you.
Hey, keep going.
All right. What else do we have? We have Nip Tuck.
Oh my God, that was so much fun, because I thought there's no way in hell I'm getting this part, because it was the episode was named Brigitte, and I had to go in and do this, I don't remember what it was, Romanian, Hungarian accent. And the one thing I've learned about accents, you can do them as badly as you want, as long as you do them consistently. So I just went in, and everything I said the same way. And there were heavy hitters sitting in that waiting room, and I literally, when my agents called and said, you got the part, I was like, can you check? Can you make sure? And it was so much fun. The leeches were a little freaky. Mm-hmm. I had leeches all over me. There were real leeches, electronic leeches, rubber leeches, and I did have to have a couple of them touch me, and I was like, ah! But it was really, they were wonderful, wonderful people.
That was a great show.
It was fun. Yeah.
What about Roseanne? Okay. What about Friends?
Oh, that was so much fun. I loved. It was just. I think I was maybe the first or second or even third season. They weren't quite catastrophically famous at that point, and it was still there was this sort of camaraderie and niceness and community, and I just read an article where somebody said they never sorry, my eyes are so watering, from Robin Williams. There was somebody who said they didn't feel like they were ever included or a part of it. I just felt like I was only in scenes with Joey, but I don't think they could have been nicer. I saw Jennifer Aniston, like I remember 2 weeks later, she was at a little restaurant that I go to, and I sort of waved to her, and she came over to the table and put her hand on my shoulder and said hello to everybody I was sitting with, and I was like, wow, gracious. They were very gracious, I thought.
That's so
and talented.
Yeah.
And Marta Kaufman is a genius.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, 2 more, and then I'll let you go. Seinfeld, of course.
Yeah. And what was the other one?
Okay. And because my dad will be really excited to hear you talk about Coach.
Oh my God,
that
was
I used to watch
wonderful.
all the time with my dad.
Yeah, I worked with Craig a couple of times. I did a movie with him. We did with Kirk Douglas, where we played brother and sister. He's truly one of the funniest men. I don't even think the TV ever captures how freaking funny he is. It was so much fun because he hated me. The name of the episode was I Hate Barbara, and I was Barbara, and I just had a ball. It was just like one of those shows that from beginning to end, it was just the bomb. It was so much fun.
That's so cool. You've had such a great career. Right.
You know, I am truly. I was talking about this with Miles the other day. It was sort of like I have a body of work that I'm really proud of. Your career never is like you imagined it, unless you're, Meryl Streep or Denzel Washington. But it's like I look back at what I've done and I go, wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you think about it that you ever get one job, let alone 300.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for the adventures I got to have. And you're not even mentioning my favorite things, which is Phil Alden Robinson.
Talk about it then. I want to talk about anything you want to talk about.
All right. He's the most wonderful writer-director who ever lived. He wrote All of Me, the one with Lily Tomlin and Steve Martin, and then he went on to write and direct. And he called me his lucky charm, and he put me in all his movies. So I was in the Mood, erase this part. In the Mood, Field of Dreams, Some of All Fears, Sneakers, The Angriest Man in Brooklyn. So the bestest, most wonderful part of my career was being and getting to work with, as a result of Phil Robinson getting to work with Sidney Poitier and Ben Affleck and Morgan Freeman and Kevin Costner and Patrick Dempsey and Robin Williams and all the people I got to work up because I had the honor of being Phil Alden Robinson's good luck charm. So that's like the absolute favorite part of my career, is getting to be in his movies. I just wish he made more of them.
Dang it. What do you say to people like Miles, or kids like myself, people like myself who are trying and working their butts off to do what they love and get out there? What do you say to them?
It's so interesting. I've known Bryan Cranston for 25 years. We're not like friends, but we know each other. And I was invited to go to, he did like this little lecture for the Los Angeles SAG-AFTRA Conservatory, which I'm on the committee for a class. And there were like 10 of us in the room. And he talked about the fact that he has had a lifelong love affair with acting. And, currently I feel a little bit like I'm in a relationship with an abusive lover. But, besides that, he reminded me of the passion and the joy of doing what it is you love to do. And, everybody has to make a choice. How long do I do it? without remuneration or reward? Do I do it forever? Where is my joy? And I loved hearing his passion and being reminded that, as we always say in show business, if you say, well, what else could you do? Well, otherwise I'd like to be a doctor. Then our response is, then go be a doctor.
Yeah.
Show business is for people who don't think they can do or even want to think about doing anything else, because there's a price to pay. If there's a huge, it's a business where many are called and few are chosen. There will always be more job applicants than there are jobs. Your mother, father, sister, brother, husband, wife have told you why it's a bad idea. 10% of our industry makes a living, and 10% of that 10% makes a good living. So statistically, it's not a smart thing to do. But if it's in your soul and your heart and it's the essence of your being, then you don't have any choice. You have to do it.
I love you. We're going to be friends and you just don't realize it yet.
Okay, cool.
Thank you very much for spending some time with me today.
Oh my God, thank you. This is so much fun.
Well, I'll call you tomorrow and we can hang out again.
Okay, great. Set it up.
Make sure you're going to BrokenTheSeries.com. Watch Broken. Congratulations on your nomination. Good luck. I'm looking forward to hearing that you won.
Well, and if you do, then let's chat again.
I'd love to, and I want that thing right next to you.
Okay, I'll hold it like this and make love with it.
Perfect, and I'll film it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your night.
Now, how do I turn off?
There's a red button. I'll turn it off too. There's a red button with a phone. You turn that off.
Red button with a phone.
Yep.
I see a heart. Red heart.
No, probably at the bottom. You probably have to touch the screen.
Oh, the plus sign again. Okay, there it is.
There you go.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.